Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Parents Panel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And I am joined by our panel of experts Dreams Unlimited Travel agent, Hannah Anderson.
Hello.
I apologize, I got stuck on your name. Dreams Unlimited Travel agent, Emma Thompson.
Hi, everyone.
And our producer and Dreams Unlimited Travel all around gopher and good guy, Craig Williams.
Oh, hoi, hoi.
Thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully, you had a chance to listen to our last show where we got to know both Hannah and Emma and hear about their families and what it's like to travel with the kids. And I also mentioned on that show something that I'm really excited about is that we have folks, our three folks today, all have kids within the same age range. So infants and toddlers. So they present their own challenges and ideas about what it's like to travel to Disney destinations. So I'm glad to have them here to share their thoughts and ideas. I'm going to start out with some of the questions we get an awful lot for folks who are thinking about a vacation to Walt Disney World with kids about this age. And I'm going to start with Hannah. And the question is, when is it too young to bring your kids to Walt Disney World? I mean, after all, they don't remember stuff. So what's your advice if people say, when is it too young, or what's the appropriate age to start bringing your kid to Disney destinations?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because it's one that I hear from clients a lot. And I have to say, before having our son Owen, I maybe would have said, oh, yeah, wait until they can remember. Or, I mean, we love going to Disney. So selfishly, we want to go to. But I have to say, after having him and having him in the parks at a very young age, I don't think there's a magic number for that. And some of that is just that they change so much and so often. So I know, we were kind of nervous to take him into the parks when he was really little. And, we packed everything you could think of in the diaper bag and, we're just very prepared. And then it was actually surprisingly pretty easy, I would say. That was an age, and he was just a couple months old and he would nap anywhere and was just kind of happy to be there and look at, all the colors and the people. And so that was surprisingly easy, I would say. And then, now with him being more in that toddler age range, it's different, right? Like he has more of a nap schedule and he doesn't nap as often. He also, has a temper tantrum every now and then. But the flip side of all that is he is now very excited to meet characters, to ride rides. Like there are things that he actually points out and is excited about. So I think, really for us, especially as a Disney family, who, we enjoyed going to the parks, going to Disney destinations pre having kids, it only makes it that much sweeter. So I would say, I don't think there's necessarily a magic time. I think, whenever your family is looking to go or wants to go, there's, obviously at Disney something for every age range. And I'm really appreciative being a local that we've got to, have those Disney moments in the park. And this isn't necessarily unique to being local, but just, being able to get those really sweet pictures of him on Main Street as a baby. Or I know Craig mentioned in one of the shows, Gain the Silhouette, done on Main Street when they're little. That's something I always remember. First haircuts, first birthdays, all of those things. And my hope and prayer is just that Owen grows up to be a Disney kid. I'm terrified that he's only going to want to go to Legoland or something, which would be fine. But, we've done all these really, what I think are cool Disney things and sentimental that I hope that one day when he's older, maybe has kids of his own, these will be precious memories to him, or at least cool pictures he can, show his spouse or his kids one day.
That's awesome. Yeah, it'd be like, if you wanted to grow up to be a different religion. What do you mean you want
Right,
to go to
basically.
Universal? Not Disney. I don't understand you. Emma, what about you? Same thoughts about uh, minimum age to bring kids? What is it? A waste of money? Is it a waste of time?
Oh yeah. Well, we're not paying for them, right? So I wouldn't say it's a waste of money. You don't have to pay for a kid under 2 on an airplane. You don't have to pay for a kid under 3 in Disney World. But I I would say there's no perfect age. They're all perfect ages. Everything changes. Kids benefit from different things at different ages. I don't know. Every time we've traveled, even though traveling with kids is hard, I do find value in it, and I think that kids learn from traveling, especially as they start to develop language skills. I would always say to my husband, if we don't go to the beach, he's never going to learn the word for beach. If we don't go to Disney World, he's never going to learn the word for figment. So it's it's all important, but I think it's all those sweet memories for the whole family. And maybe you have older kids and, that younger one is still a baby or just a toddler and you're wondering, do I need to wait until the youngest one is, 3 or 4? But, by that point, maybe your older one is, kind of out of that sweet magical age where they want to go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or, whatever it might be. So I don't think that there is any right or wrong age. And it's just, whenever your family can make it happen.
I love what you said about learning stuff because I think that for kids, Disney can teach kids some sort of social lessons and some sort of
Hmm.
life lessons. Again, I don't have kids, but I would travel with nieces and nephews. And when they were younger, a great deal of it was what is the way to properly wait in a line.
Mm.
You're tired and you're hot and you don't want to wait in this line and it's taking too long. But it taught them, listen, if you're willing to do this, then there's a reward at the end. So I think things like that, how to deal with people who are different than you, who look different, who might have a different mobility than you do, and things like that. If you expose kids to more, they're going to have a broader background. So,
Hmm.
Craig, for you, prior to taking or having Rory, did you think there was something a different idea about kids? Did you think it was like if you saw people who had kids who were too young, did you think, oh, that's too young to bring a kid, or did you not really care
Oh,
about that?
no, I mean, if I have one regret, it's that I've been in this job for so long that I've had enough time to put my foot in my mouth with things that I've said over the years because, I had the narrative at one point in time of nope, my first trip was when I was 5 years old, and that's the right time because I have like vague memories, but I know for a fact that I can remember stuff, and I'm not going to bring a kid here that's younger than that because they're just not going to remember anything. And even if I have the memories, that's great. It's still a lot of money going into something that's just for me, and I don't want to be like that. And obviously, that's not the case now at all. So that was one moment of foot in the mouth, and I mean, then taking it even further and saying, take your kids off the shoulders. They don't care about the fireworks. They're not going to remember it. I still don't know if I'm parades. I think they will. They get it. Something about that. Maybe fireworks too with the light, but I'll still get irritated about kids on the shoulders with
Now,
fireworks.
now
But
6'5" Craig puts a kid on his shoulders
oh,
and doesn't care about
it's
anybody behind him.
I have put Rory on my shoulders a couple times, and I'm like, people will hate me. I can never do this in a park unless I'm just screwing around. I can't do it for a show or anything. So, yeah, it's tough. The one thing I will say was, for us and for most people, I would just recommend at least get that first rounds of shots in your
Hmm.
kid before you come. Like, there are some people out there who will say, the baby gets the natural immunity from the parent. Well, if the parent's constantly sick all the time, then, that's they're not getting a lot of immunity there. But just in general, like it's, you'll hear people say, well, take the baby the minute it leaves the hospital, just go straight to Walt Disney World from there, because you know what, they've got to get used to being out in the real world eventually. And I mean, kudos to people that have the tenacity to do that. That's not me. I saw someone a couple weeks ago that the baby had to be only 2 or 3 days old, and they came
Oh,
straight
wow.
to Magic Kingdom, and I just like,
Holy
it made
smoke.
my skin crawl. Like that is,
Mm,
and they didn't have any other kids, so I'm like, that's your life. That's like, that is your
hmm.
new addition, and there is so much at risk there, because not only yeah, you're safe driving in the car, but then depending on the transportation for how you got to Magic Kingdom from there, I just think of every single variable, and I'm like, that's not me. But I mean, we saw through the pandemic times just how easily illness passes around at Walt Disney World. So at least wait until shots start happening, and they're a little bit more protective. But at the end of the day, you know your child best. I'm not going to tell you don't do it, but you know,
I think you just
it's
did.
I did, yeah.
You just told them not to. Well, I get it. I understand what you're saying. We want to make sure that people are safe and being healthy for sure. But from an experiential standpoint, I think we've all learned this lesson as time goes by, that it's not
Hmm.
necessarily what the child will remember. It's about the memories you're making with that kid and the
Hmm.
pictures you're getting and the things like that. And these kids are going to go back and look at these pictures one day and go, oh, wasn't that great? I got to go to Disney World when I was an infant. So let's talk a little bit about, so what are the pluses of having kids your age going to Walt Disney World? I know that there's a lot of challenges. And on the other show, we talked about overpacking and things like that create a challenge. But what is the sort of the ideas that, it's a good thing because you get sort of this sort of advantage of whatever it is. Hannah, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I know Emma touched on it, but under three at Disney, they're free. So, like, we are going to one of the character meals this weekend, and it's great because, Owen's at that age where he might eat some chicken nuggets, he might not, but I don't have to worry about it because we're not paying for them. And I'm going to eat chicken nuggets, so it's fine. But also just, being able to take him to a character meal, have that experience, I think all that's really great. Also, as pass holders, it's nice being able to take them and not have to pay for a ticket. I also will say we've kind of gotten used to Owen's schedule, and I like it. There's nothing wrong with taking a nap. There's nothing wrong with ending your day
Amen,
early.
sister.
Yeah, so I have to say it's been really refreshing to, be able to enjoy the parks, but more in a hey, we're here to experience it, experience the moment instead of, no, I need to have this snack and ride this ride. And it's more about, okay, let's see what he wants to do. And just also that there is so much for him to do at Disney. We don't find that it's really changed what we enjoy about the parks, I guess I would say. I mean, because he's still able to, ride most things and partake in most things. And so that's been really cool to just kind of, get him to experience it with us, I guess.
It's awesome. Emma, what about you? You have things that just make it worthwhile to bring a kid in those age groups, infants and toddlers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Disney is really baby friendly. I think maybe people don't realize that until they get there. But, Disney, it has set up, you know, baby care centers in each park that really will help you. They will, they offer anything that you might have forgotten that day. They have extra diapers, they have extra wipes, they have change of clothes, they have, a nice air conditioned space where you can go and give
Mhm.
your toddler a break. They have nursing rooms and, water for making bottles, just everything. And I think people are also surprised just how much babies and toddlers can do. at Disney World. There are rides in every park that don't have height requirements where, you can take your baby. I usually put my little baby in a baby carrier, but our toddler can ride with us as well. So, I think it's just it's different, sure, than just going with adults or with older kids, but you're still making those sweet memories, and you're just seeing everything through their eyes, which is a lot of fun.
Do you find you get more attention with
Yes.
the Hugo than you do with
Mhm.
Owen?
I think the characters definitely give the babies a lot of attention. They'll always play peekaboo with Hugo. When
Mhm.
we go to character meals and that kind of thing. It's funny because we'll walk in and we'll think that we're really there so that Ollie can meet Mickey, but he's a toddler. It's hit or miss. He might run away. He might want to say hello. It just depends on the day. But babies are generally, especially 6, 7, 8 month old baby, are usually pretty smiley. They're usually pretty happy. So yeah, you might at least get that picture if you don't get your toddler in there. On our
Mhm.
most recent trip, when we went to see Mickey, Molly wasn't having it, but Hugo was there smiling, playing peekaboo with Mickey. So they definitely got a lot of attention.
I know from I think from adults too. I know we walk around and we notice the
Yeah.
kids, and we love to see the kids playing with the characters or just splashing in a splash pad or something.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun for us to watch that as well. We talked about the fact that it's nice to bring the kids on the rides when there's no height restrictions, but let's talk a little bit about when you want to ride a ride. Hannah, we want to talk about the good old, I used to call it baby swap, but I believe in this day and age
Yeah.
it's probably not appropriate. People should not be swapping babies. But the
Kids
rider
only.
swap, when an adult wants to ride a ride and they've got a kid with them, the kid can't ride. How is Disney handling that these days?
Yeah, so it's actually, I have to say, the way that Disney has a writer swap to me is my favorite compared to some other theme parks. But basically, you just go up to the front, speak to a cast member. You designate, okay, these are the parents who are riding first. These are the parents who are going to ride second. And so a parent will either go, if you don't have a lightning lane, you'll go through the standby line, ride the ride, get off, meet your family, and then the family gets to then go through the lightning lane line. And what I like about that is you don't have to have your kids stand in line with you. So other than, just going up to the entrance to the attraction, tapping in really quick on your magic band, I can then go, okay, we're going to go to baby care center and do diaper change, or we're going to go, play on the playground. So that's really nice. Also, selfishly for me, for somebody who doesn't always purchase lightning lanes, I always send my husband through. And so then I get a lightning lane and maybe, an ice cream cone or something while he waits in line. So, especially, I will say too, it works to me great when you have a larger group. And so, you can kind of have a meeting point. One group, like I said, goes to get a snack, the other one rides first. One thing I would throw out there that we've kind of learned recently, just with height requirements in rides, especially at that toddler age where it seems like they're growing every day. We found that Owen's pediatrician height is not the same as a Disney height. So I guess because at the pediatrician, typically they lay down or they're squirming, and so we have had a couple times where we're like, oh, he's definitely 32 inches, and then we've gone up to measure him, and he was not. So just keep that in mind if your child is close to any of those height requirements. That it may not quite be the same when you're putting them up to that height marker in the parks.
Oh, okay.
There's also Yeah, there's also the way my husband and I like to do it, where every trip that we take, there's always one night that we designate as the roller coaster night, where we hire a babysitter and we go on every roller coaster in the park. So that's also an option if
Mm.
you don't want to do ride or switch.
Talk about
Yeah.
babysitting. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Are you using a specific company? Are you using Disney's?
hmm
Tell me about how that
So
works.
there are a few companies out there that specialize in either in park or in resort childcare with Disney, but Disney specifically contracts with one company called Kids Night Out. And we have been using Kids Night Out since Oliver's first visit when he was 4 months old. And so we actually have used the same sitter every time except for one time she wasn't available, and we used someone else who was also great. But the woman who sat for us that first visit when Oliver was 4 months old, we request her every time. She's sat for us at a whole host of different resorts all over different properties. She's also come to Universal and sat for us there. Um, and then we used a similar service out in Disneyland. But we just, and everybody has different opinions on this. And obviously, if you can bring grandparents, that's probably, the best of all worlds. But we don't always have grandparents with us. And we just feel that in order for a vacation to be a vacation, we need to have one date night out where we, can go out for dinner and ride all the roller coasters.
Are you booking this? Are you having the hotel book it? You say you request the same woman, so I assume you're calling the company directly to get the
I
babysitting
do.
arranged.
I asked for the recommendation that very first visit, and Disney put me in touch with Kids Night Out. I do think that if you wait until you are already on site and you go to the concierge, at a deluxe resort, they would probably contact Kids Night Out for you. But I always call as soon as I have my dates, as soon as I book, the Christmas party, or we did Mickey's Not So Scary this year, and when I booked those dates, back in July, I called and said immediately, I am, I would like this date, I would like this sitter, and got that booked. And they book out very far in advance, especially for race weekends. They're always, booked out for race weekends. They're available almost 24 hours a day, depending on what events are happening at the parks. So it's a great service.
How much does it cost? What is the pricing run? Do you know off the top of your head?
I know that for two kids, and it's different depending on like holiday pricing. They have special pricing for if a sit is starting later in the evening or early in the morning, like for one of those race weekends. And if you ask them to come at 4 a.m., they charge a little bit more. But it's $30 an hour for two kids in normal circumstances. You used to have to pay for their parking, but now that resort parking is free, you don't have to pay for that anymore. So yeah, and I can't remember what it is for one kid, but I know for two it was $30 an hour.
And do you tip them on top of that, or does that include your gratuity?
No, you usually tip your sitter. Generally, they say tip an extra hour, but that's kind of up to you.
Excellent. All good information for folks who haven't done that yet and are wondering about that service that they provide. Have we missed anything that's sort of, the pluses? We're going to go into challenges in a minute, but, what is there for kids to do that's not kids of this age to do that are not rides and shows and attractions? Do you just, sit them on a bench and walk away and hope they're okay? How do you entertain them?
I mean, they don't necessarily need a ton of entertaining. I think Hannah kind of hit it best when she said like you'll have to start vacationing differently, and the kids are going to slow you down, and that's a good thing. And yeah, you can do a night out where you do everything that you want, or bring the grandparents and you have that flexibility, but really like even if you've been traveling to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, any place, and you will always love the same traditions that you have, do it all over again. Like, that's great, but it's also very nice letting your entire style change because of a younger kid, and it's harder for some people. Like for me, I'm very happy rope dropping and closing out the parks at the end of the night. You cannot do that with a younger kid, and that's okay. It's okay to see the parks in a different way. So I'd say just embrace it, even if it goes against your personality. I will say, like with that Disneyland trip, at no point in time did I feel like no, I'm not doing enough. It just your entire life just kind of changes with the kid, and you don't put the same values on the cost of everything as much as you might before. So
The same thing applies as you get older. You don't have to
Yeah.
do everything. It's okay to spend a little more money to be comfortable. That's a lesson I've learned. I love to watch the kids in like the splash areas and like
Oh,
Moana, the new
yes.
Moana attraction.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So, what do you guys do? Are your kids into that, Emma? Is that something that they do quite a bit of, or is that, we're not going to do that?
Yes, definitely. I was going to say, so I think just having an idea of where kids can get, especially once they become more mobile, starting to walk, run, that kind of thing, having an idea of where the kids can take a break, get the wriggles out, get out of the stroller. So the splash pads are a great place. There's the new one, the new Moana one in Epcot. There's one in Fantasyland and Magic Kingdom as well. So making sure you have maybe a change of clothes, a swim diaper, that kind of thing packed if you know that your kids will want to do that. There are also playgrounds in every park except for Hollywood Studios. And, there's also playgrounds in a lot of the resorts, and you can find the locations for those in the My Disney Experience app. You can just search for playgrounds and show on map, and it'll show you all the playgrounds all over the whole resort. So having an idea in your head maybe before a meltdown comes, I know that my kid's been sitting in the stroller for an hour. They're going to want to get out. Let's just see where the closest playground is a great idea.
When you say playground, do you mean traditional slides and
Mhm.
swings and wow, I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Um, do you want to say something
Oh,
else?
I was I was just going to jump in and say really quick. So we love the new Moana attraction at Epcot. I think Owen could rope drop and close that one attraction down. The one thing I would say about it is that, and it's funny, the Porter family was down recently and they hung out with us and we did the Moana attraction and they were like, we have to go, we need to go buy a beach towel because it is obviously you don't have to get wet, but if you have kids, if you have toddlers, they are going to want to fully experience it. So I would recommend it is a great thing for kids, but on that day, I would say pack a change of clothes, pack a swimsuit for them, bring a towel because it's a full on splash pad. So that would be my most recent tip. But I mean, kind of talking about that, we're finding Epcot is becoming a great family park for us. Whereas I know that hasn't, always had the reputation of being the family park, but because of Moana and the festivals usually have pop up playgrounds. We're finding that that's a really good mix for our family to be able to walk around and experience things without having to, wait in lines or ride attractions even.
Yeah, I love watching the kids at the Moana attraction. I think that's it's so much fun, especially the much smaller kids. I love that they put stuff closer to the
Hmm.
ground. I know this is a silly thing to say, but the fact that they're
Yeah.
within the reach of the kids makes all the difference in the world. So kudos to those Imagineers. All right, let's step a little bit into the challenges that folks face traveling with infants and toddlers. What are some of the things that you want folks to know, sort of help them have a better vacation? And I'll start with Hannah on this one. Any tips and tricks for most
Yeah,
getting around those challenges?
sure. I think, planning, utilizing, I mean, I'm going to give all of us a plug here. Using a travel agent, I definitely see even more value in that now, just because it's nice. I would say, and I did have this background Disney knowledge, but I can't imagine, the families that go to Disney are trying to figure out my Disney experience, lightning lanes, dining reservations, transportation, all while trying to keep your kids happy, get them to wait in lines, ask the family, well, what do you want to do next? I definitely see value in that now because I think, especially if you are coming down for a, you know, annual vacation and every 2 years vacation. You want to plan enough so that you can allow yourself time to enjoy it. And I think that, sometimes it's harder to do when maybe you're stressed about the money you're spending or the amount of time you're waiting in lines. So I think as much pre planning, as much asking for help as you can is important because, inevitably you're going to have to divert to plan B, to plan C, like Emma mentioned, you might have to change outfits 2 or 3 times, and that's okay. And just allowing those moments to happen where you spend 2 hours in a splash pad or watch a parade twice in one day. I think those are really the moments where, you make memories and get to enjoy, your kids and being a family.
It's interesting because a lot of people say the same thing. Well, this is a vacation. Why do I have to plan so much for a vacation? Why do I have to put so much
Mm,
effort into the planning? That takes all the fun out of it. That takes the spontaneity out of it. But you can plan for those
mhm,
downtime and you can plan for those moments. If you have your meals planned and you have your rides in advance and all of those things, then you're actually building yourself a place in your schedule to enjoy things and slow down. Just even for those of us without kids, we love to sit on a bench and watch the
mhm.
crowds and watch the parks come to life. So it's a great part of it. Emma, what about you? Any specific challenges you want folks to know about and perhaps tips and tricks to help them overcome those challenges?
Yeah, so I get a lot of questions about transportation to the parks, from your resort to the parks, from the airport to the resort. How do I do this with a stroller? How do I do it with all the stuff that you have to bring? When you have kids. The rain covers and the change of clothes and the snacks and the water bottles and the sunscreen. It's a lot. And now that we have added our second kid, we are in the double stroller era, which is, you know, it's it's a lot. So I think just being able to plan and to know in advance, how am I going to get there? When do I have to fold this thing up? The worst would be to pack up your stroller, get out of your resort, have everything, shoved in all the nooks and crannies, both kids
Mm,
locked in, get to your bus and find out, oh, I have to fold it up. So just kind of knowing in advance. I get a lot of clients who that's their first question. Where can I stay where I don't have to fold up my stroller to get from my resort to my park? And of course, the monorail resorts are great for that. You don't have to fold even a double stroller on the monorail, but you can do that on the Skyliner for the most part. Any of those Skyliner resorts, which there's also a couple of value resorts there, Pop Century and Art of Animation, on the Skyliner. So that's a great option, for different budgets. I will say one caveat with that is you will have to fold up a side by side double stroller on the Skyliner.
mm,
You're allowed to bring an inline stroller where the kids are sitting like one in front of the other. You can bring that straight on, but you have to fold up the side by side. The boat resorts also, like Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness. The larger boats, which is usually every other boat, will accommodate a stroller where you don't have to fold it up. So just having this, in mind, your agent can help you with this. But just knowing, how am I going to get from point A to point B without a car seat, without, folding everything up. Minivans also come in handy. Yes, they're very expensive, but depending on where you're going, it might be worth it for you to not have to bring car seats and rent a car if you know that for that one dining reservation at Riviera, when you're coming from Contemporary, you can just take one minivan. It comes with two car seats. You're getting from point A to point B without worrying about taking multiple forms of Disney transportation. I'll give a little plug here for Disneyland. We were just amazed by how easy it was to get around Disneyland with two babies. Everything is
mhm,
walking. There were no buses. Just being able to leave your resort and walk to both parks was absolutely incredible. So if this is a concern
mhm.
for you and you do have babies and toddlers, and this is your hang up, is just how do I get all my stuff and my kids, and they're having a meltdown and I don't want to take them out, or maybe they fell asleep in the stroller and I don't want to take them out. pack it up on the bus. You don't have to worry about any of that in Disneyland. So that's also an option.
This was probably the biggest revelation for the folks who went to our Asian education program this year out in Disneyland who had never been. They were like, why didn't anybody tell us how easy it is to get around Disneyland? It's incredible. The park, the fact that there's the esplanade between the two parks, easy to get around there from the hotels. It's pretty much just a walk into the park. So, yeah, Disneyland definitely won that conversation for sure. Well, everybody, thank you so much. You guys were great. This is a great conversation. I was going to say, I hope you come back for another show, but I know you will come back for another show because I'm going to make you. This was absolutely wonderful. For those of you who are listening and watching and might want to work with either Hannah or Emma, you can write to them directly. We'll have their email addresses on the screen for you to send them an email, and they'd be happy to work with you. Kids, no kids, however you want to deal with them, or what your family dynamic is. So please reach out to them and start a conversation about a future Disney vacation. I want to thank everybody for participating. You guys were great. I enjoyed this very much. I want to thank everybody at home for listening and watching. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation with those kids.